Hey nerds, it's time to lock in because today I'm making you experts in all things Supergirl.
Comics and powered by the Red 5 Network. For more, visit red5.bio.link.
Hey nerds, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Danny, and today we are breaking down one of DC's most popular, if not most rebooted, female heroines, Supergirl. Now, before we go any further, a couple of things. First, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, ring that notification bell so you get notified whenever I'm back with even more of this nerdy nonsense, and maybe check out becoming a member of the channel. Also, if you're new and haven't seen one of these breakdowns before, I, Danny, break down a character or a story while doing my makeup at the same time. If you are curious or interested into any of the products I'm using in this video, just check the description down below. This video is also sponsored by Cine Optical. So if you are in the market for a new pair of frames, prescription, non-prescription sunglasses, check out the link down in the description. I will save you a whopping 10% off your next pair of glasses. And of course, as always, for the full story, please read the comics. With no further ado, let's dive in. All right, nerds, there have been multiple versions of Supergirl since she came out in 1959. Because there are so many versions, and because the main version of her has been rebooted more times than I can keep track of, we are going to focus on Kara Zor-El. Now, before you can really understand the origin of Supergirl, her fictional character's biography, you really need to know why she was created in the first place. As we discovered in our video about the Comics Code Authority, the early 50s saw the comic book industry almost fizzle out completely. Sales had been seriously lackluster due to, honestly, a lack of interest. The kids at the time were starting to become far more interested in detective stories and science fiction, mostly science fiction. And then, of course, because of Dr. Friedrich Wertham, who penned and published the book Seduction of the Innocent, really scared a lot of parents out there. And if you're interested in that story, highly recommend our breakdown of the entire history of Seduction of the Innocent, the entire history of how the Comics Code Authority really came about and why it's not really an issue today. However, thanks to the reintroduction of the Flash as a forensic scientist, really marketing off the popularity of those detective and science comics, the Flash was rejuvenated by Gardner Fox and Carmine Infantino. And we're all going to pretend that my shirt doesn't have a teeny tiny hole right here because I didn't notice it until I got started. Well, thanks to the Flash, the Silver Age of comics was born. This also inspired many other beloved DC characters and titles to be rejuvenated as well. Now, DC, not wanting to miss an opportunity to capitalize off of this and not only expand the super family titles, but tap into the girl market as well, tested the waters in August of 1958 in Superman 123. Jimmy Olsen wishes a Supergirl into existence. She was sort of a one-off character, again, just to test the waters to see if something like that would sell. Needless to say, it did very well. So 9 months later, DC birthed its newest member of the super family. Surprise! It's a girl. Written by Otto Bender and designed by Al Plastino, Supergirl, as we have come to know her, made her first appearance in Action Comics number 252 in May of 1959. In this story, Kara comes to Earth years after the destruction of Krypton. And honestly, in retrospect, the story is actually pretty flimsy. But again, this was back when comics truly were written for children. So a lot of stories tended to be a little on the trite side. When Krypton exploded, Argo City broke free in one chunk, and luckily with an intact air bubble surrounding the city. Science, right? Because the planet, blew up, the ground of Argo City was irradiated and the soil turned to kryptonite. So a scientist by the name of Zor-El got the community together to build a lead shield all over the ground. They also had some very handy and convenient machinery, like basically food replicators and water processors. Now that the shielding was in place, the people that were getting sick from the kryptonite were starting to improve. All thanks to Zor-El, who eventually marries and has a child who is, you guessed it, Kara Zor-El. Now, many years later, around the time that Kara was about 14 years old, meteorites crashed through the air bubble surrounding Argo City and into the lead shielding cover the ground. Of course, this destroyed it, and people started getting very ill and dying. Knowing that there was nothing he could do to really save Argo City, he and his wife, Allura, devised a plan similar to Superman's parents, and they built a rocket to send their precious little girl off to safety. Now, how did they decide on planet Earth? Well, with a super telescope, of course. With this super telescope, while they were building the rocket, they discovered planet Earth and would watch the heroics of one Superman. Now, at the time, Allura, Kara, and Zor-El had no idea that Superman was actually Kal-El, Kara's cousin. They just thought this guy is super brave and super strong, and everyone seems to love him. So you know what? We're going to make you an outfit just like his. And that way, everyone will love you too. So that's what they did. They made her a costume that resembled Superman's, popped her in her rocket, and sent her on her way. When her rocket crashes to Earth, Superman discovers her. And it doesn't take long for them to realize that they are, in fact, related. They're cousins. Hooray! And what does Superman do with his recently discovered only relation left in the entire universe? Well, he slaps a brown wig on her, comes up with an alter ego with her, Linda Lee, and deposits her at the Midvale orphanage ran by Miss Hart. Bye-bye! Designed to appeal, obviously, to young female readers, Kara had several traits that set her apart from her cousin Superman. She was younger, more inexperienced, more flawed, short-tempered, impatient, and prone to making more mistakes. She was also a true immigrant. She struggled to adapt to Earth's culture in contrast to Superman, who was just a toddler when he arrived on Earth. She interacts with humans on a more personal basis, performing good deeds and saving the world one person at a time. She also devises clever schemes as Superman's secret weapon, saving him many times and avoiding adoption as much as possible until Superman can introduce her to the public. When Kandorian scientist Lisa Lar, scheming to take Supergirl's place, steals her powers away, Supergirl, aka Linda, allows herself to be adopted finally by engineer and rocket scientist Fred Danvers and his wife Edna. She eventually reveals her true identity to her adopted parents, and this all took place the same day that Superman introduces his cousin Supergirl to the entire world in what at the time was DC's longest running series, 8 chapters long, The World's Greatest Heroine. Later, Kara starts having dreams that her parents are still alive. The dreams turn out to be true. Taking direction from her father, Zor-El, and with the help of her engineer, rocket scientist, adopted father, Fred Danvers, she brings both her parents, Zor-El and Allura, to Earth from the survival zone where they had teleported during Argo City's final moments. Zor-El and Allura eventually end up living in Kandor. And when it's finally enlarged, because, Brainiac shrunk it, they go on to New Krypton. After graduating from high school in 1965, Linda Danvers enrolls in Stanhope College, where she attends on a scholarship, graduating in 1971. During this time, Kara's pets are introduced. A cat named Streaky. I don't want to know. Why Streaky? Probably because it's really fast, but those aren't the kind of streaks I think of when I hear Streaky. So maybe I'm just immature. And a horse named Comet.
Which is actually way worse than her cat being named Streaky, because Comet actually became human once, a human man named Bill Starr, and Supergirl dated him. So yeah, Supergirl dated her horse.
She makes friends, one of them being Barbara Gordon, aka Batgirl. She meets her in 1967, actually, before she goes to college, and that happened in World's Finest. They become best friends and team up on multiple occasions, like in Super Family 171 or Adventure Comics number 381, when she officially left the Action Comic stories and made the leap to Adventure Comics. Around this time, she also joins the Legion of Superheroes from the future, becoming very close with Brainiac number 5. She dates him, a boy named Dick Mulverne, and Jero the Merboy from Atlantis.
Disney and Kathleen Kennedy are gonna get you!